Press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Sebastian Fitness Solutions. What is up, everybody? This is Sebastian from Sebastian Fitness Solutions, and in today's video I'm going to be answering the question, should you eat egg yolks? Now, I find it really amusing that whole eggs or egg yolks have such a controversy surrounding them. It's ironic that a food which literally embodies life, or rather life to be, has been touted by many people as something that can potentially cause death or aid in death. But I digress. Anyway, before I answer this question, should you eat egg yolks? Let's lay down some facts here first, okay? Number one, the egg yolk contains all fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. It's actually one of the very few sources of food that naturally contain vitamin D. Number two, the egg yolk contains a whole host of vitamins and minerals, and about 90% actually of the amount of zinc, phosphorus, calcium, vitamin B6, B12, and other essential vitamins and minerals that are present in an egg. Number three, egg yolks contain a great source actually of dietary fat, both unsaturated fat as well as good saturated fat. Number four, finally, the egg yolk contains about 40% of the total protein in an egg. Now, given all these facts, why on earth would you not want to eat egg yolks? It's one of the most nutritious foods you can have, But, that aside, I do know exactly why people have this question in their mind in the first place. I'm not going to pretend that I don't know why. But the thing is that all those questions, or rather fears, come down to myths. They stem from myths. And the purpose of this video is to systematically break down those myths by bringing you the facts, right? So if I were to identify, the main reasons why, or the exact thought process behind people thinking there's something bad with egg yolks or eating whole eggs, I can probably narrow it down to three main reasons, or three main ideas, right, or fears. The very first being, and the most important probably being, cholesterol. Now, as we know that eggs, or whole eggs, or egg yolks specifically, contain a certain amount of dietary cholesterol. And there's a negative association that comes about because of this, because everyone uses the word cholesterol and gets alarmed by it. And the reason for that is because of this cholesterol problem that has gripped our society today. It's a very big problem where a lot of the human population actually suffers from cholesterol problem, as it's defined. And there's this negative association that's made because dietary cholesterol equals, oh, if I eat cholesterol, I'll get more cholesterol, that's bad. Well, it's not as clear-cut as that, The question here is that you need to understand the distinction between dietary cholesterol and, the cholesterol problem as you define it. See, the cholesterol problem has to do with excess amount of cholesterol in your blood, aka serum cholesterol, whereas dietary cholesterol is the cholesterol you take in through food. Are they connected? Are they the same? No, they are not, right? Now, to understand the difference, one more thing you need to understand is this, that you intake cholesterol through food, dietary cholesterol, but your body makes cholesterol as well. It's an endogenous production of cholesterol that takes place in your liver. And the body is very adept at auto-regulating its own cholesterol levels by, managing how much is coming in to how much is being produced from inside. What I mean by that is, let's say if you eat in more dietary cholesterol, your body down-regulates its own production of cholesterol that way. And conversely, if you eat in less cholesterol, the body increases its own production of cholesterol. So that's pretty much, and the body is pretty adept at maintaining a fairly good, balance or, feedback mechanism, so and so, where it kind of controls the amount of cholesterol that is, in between your dietary cholesterol and your endogenous production. And this balance, or the way of the body to, square this off is fairly efficient. It's not probably 100% perfect, but it is very efficient. Now, there are some studies though that show that, if you consume dietary cholesterol, it does increase serum cholesterol levels. There are a couple of studies that show that, but number one, the increase in, or the reflection of, increase dietary cholesterol into blood cholesterol is notably very small. More specifically, it's about 2 to 2.2 milligrams per deciliter increase in serum cholesterol levels for every 100 milligrams of dietary cholesterol consumed, which isn't that much. Number two, and more importantly, the studies have shown that the increase that is found in serum cholesterol because of greater intake of cholesterol through dietary means happens to be an increase in HDL cholesterol, which is known as good cholesterol, as opposed to LDL cholesterol, aka bad cholesterol. The reason why I'm doing these quote marks is because it's not as simple as that. Cholesterol is cholesterol. There's no such thing as a good or bad cholesterol. But I digress. The point is that it helps. It's beneficial to some extent. Right, so the bottom line here is that if there is an increase, it's very minor, and whatever increase that is there has been shown to have a positive effect on blood lipid profiles and not a negative one. Now, another thing to keep in mind is this. If dietary cholesterol was the problem, right? If eating cholesterol through foods was one of the main reasons why you have high cholesterol levels in the body, then vegetarians would never have cholesterol issues, or you have no vegetarian out there or vegan out there who has the cholesterol problem. And why I say this is because cholesterol is only found in animal foods and animal products. It is not available in any plant food. So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, who's taking in little to no animal products, you should have absolutely no cholesterol issues. There should be no vegetarian or vegan out there that has cholesterol issues, which is not the case as we see in a country like India, where a large chunk of the population are vegetarians, and yet they do have cholesterol problems in all its glory. So if that was not enough for you to figure out that it's not necessarily, or it's probably not just eating cholesterol that is causing this whole cholesterol problem. The whole cholesterol problem, or high cholesterol in general, can't be narrowed down to a single factor here and there. It's actually to do with a multitude of factors, more to do with your lifestyle, how you lead your life, how active you are, your overall dietary intake of food, how many calories you consume versus you need, all these things together, basically your lifestyle. It depends more on that than a single nutrient or eating in more cholesterol through some food, right? The bottom line is that most of the studies that you see have shown that, eating in eggs has either not much notable change in your serum cholesterol levels, or if it's there, it has a positive effect on your blood lipids. But that's what the studies say. So one thing we can narrow down, and we can probably agree on, hopefully by this stage, is that dietary cholesterol isn't the cause of the cholesterol problem, or high serum cholesterol, right? Now, moving on to reason number two, or the fear number two rather, I would say. That would come down to saturated fat. And you can tie this on to the whole fat scare that took place in the 80s. That obesity and heart disease was linked to saturated fat. And if there's one single person we could blame for the propagation of this nonsense, it's this researcher called as Dr. Ansel Keys, who, and with why his infamous 7-country study really made a huge dent and took probably nutrition science back God knows how many years, without getting into much detail on how that study was ridiculously flawed and actually skewed intentionally to portray the results that he wanted to show. I'll just link you to a video in the description below of a very funny way of presenting the whole thing, where he pretty much just very conveniently knocked off whatever results didn't fit his hypothesis or his claim, and very conveniently showed a graph that just proved his hypothesis. It's kind of funny. You can check out that video. It'll give you an idea. But the point here is that there was an association for the longest time between saturated fat and obesity and heart disease. And because of that, there was a very significant period of time where people would blame fat or blame things like butter or saturated fat, that even through foods that people have eaten for generations upon generations, they would blame that as the cause of the ever-growing heart disease and obesity epidemic. Well, today, if you look at it, the studies show that it's not the case. That is definitely not true. It's saturated fat and heart disease or cholesterol issues or whatever isn't necessarily directly linked. And there are quite a few studies that show it, including some very strong meta-analyses, which is a pool of studies being studied together. They all show this. So we can say pretty much surely that it isn't as simple as that. Once again, something like heart disease isn't so simple that you can pinpoint to a single thing, or especially a single nutrient in food. It comes down to pretty much your overall lifestyle and how you lead your life. If you're a slob, if you have other habits like smoking and whatnot, there's so many factors that come into it, and blaming a single nutrient is just ignorant and is wrong, right? And finally, the third reason why I think people tend to avoid egg yolks and have a problem with it is because of the fat content in it in general, and this idea that, oh, if I eat more fat, I'll get more fat. And this pretty much comes down to the same idea that, okay, eating fat equals fat, which is not the case. Dietary fat and body fat are not the same. Just by eating fat, you don't necessarily get fat. It comes down to the calories you consume and whether you are in a caloric surplus, and if you're eating in too much of a certain nutrient, then more than what you need, which can happen, by the way, if you're eating eggs, because eggs do contain a fair amount of fat. So if you do consume a lot of eggs and you don't manage your caloric intake, your daily fat intake, it can be a problem that way. But it's not something that's an innate problem with the egg itself. It's more of a problem of you not knowing how to adjust your intake according to what you need. So let's say, for example, you're someone who has a daily intake of 80 grams of fat in the day. If you were to eat, and you eat about, say, 15 eggs in a day, because that's a main source of protein, well, you pretty much fill up, that your fat requirement of the day very, very fast with that, and you would probably exceed it given the other foods that you're eating. So in such a situation, what you would need to do is take, like, say, the total number of eggs if you're eating are 15 in a day. You'd probably have about half of those as whole eggs and the other half as just egg whites, and you'd mix them up in such a way that a meal at least contains a mixture of some egg whites and some with whole eggs. Again, I'm just giving an example. How many egg whites and how many whole eggs you would eat would depend upon your requirements and your daily fat intake. It could vary vastly between you and me and anyone else who's watching the video, but it can be managed, it should be managed, and by that way, there's no problem that would happen or no reason why it would negatively affect your health or fitness. The point here is that there's nothing wrong with the egg itself, it's just about knowing how to manage it. So hopefully addressing these three key concerns that you may have had, or anybody who's watching this video may have had about consumption of egg yolks, hopefully now you know there's nothing wrong with it and you can absolutely go ahead and eat that egg. It's good for you, it's nutritious, and there's nothing wrong with it as such. It's not going to hurt you like you maybe have been led to believe. So hopefully this video has clarified that and you can go ahead and eat that in peace, right? I hope you found this video informative, and if you have, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button right now and leave a comment below and let me know what you think of this video. If you like it, if you love it, if you don't like it, for whatever reason, let me know. If you have a question, feel free, please post below, because I love answering questions that I get. And finally, follow me on my social media links, all of which are in the description box below. Go ahead and follow me there. That's all I have for you today. So until next time, keep learning, keep growing.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Also, if you're on Instagram, follow me there at Suneet_SFS. And to watch another video, click right over here.